Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Safari Wednesdays. Thank you so much for tuning in. It really means a huge amount to me. Safari Wednesdays, we are going to cover a huge array of topics over the next while, but today we're going to tackle what some might say is the biggest of all, the scariest of all, the Big Five. But more importantly, why we should completely and utterly forget about it. Let's go. So what animals actually make up the Big Five? I quite often get asked by guests I'm planning a safari for or guests I'm actually guiding on safari to see the Big Five. That's the animals, the set of animals they want to see most of all. But more often than not, people don't actually know which animals make up the Big Five. What I want you to do right now is write on a piece of paper, ideally in the comments below, what you think the Big Five are. It'd be interesting to know how many of you actually do know what the Big Five are, or actually why they're called the Big Five. No problem at all if you get it wrong. So many people actually don't know, so it's not a big issue at all. But let's jump into what they are. So number one, first and foremost, the lion. That's probably one that everyone could understand. Lion is the king of the African jungle. They are absolutely awesome animals to watch when they're active. They are asleep for most of the time. I'd say they can sleep around 20 or so hours a day. So when you tend to watch them, they are sleeping. But when you see them in action, it is pretty amazing. And when you see a lion walking quite close past you, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And it's like, wow, what a moment. So that's number one, the lion. Number two, the leopard. I'm hopeful most of you will have got leopard. It's an animal that's sometimes confused with a cheetah, which I'll make a whole different video about the differences between leopards and cheetah in due course. Leopards, epic animals, super elusive. If you get to see them, wow, because they are definitely the most beautiful animal you see in the bush. So that's number two. Now number three, not the cheetah, not a cheetah. Cheetahs aren't in the Big Five. I'll tell you why in a moment. Number three though, this one you've definitely got. It's the elephant. Elephant is number three in the Big Five. There's actually no particular order, but you can probably have guessed that the biggest land mammal in the world is in there. Again, such a special animal to watch. They are so much bigger than you imagine when you're kind of back home or watching a video of safari. When you're actually there in person, you can see one, especially if you're on foot. Oh, it's just amazing. Pretty humbling as well, actually. You feel small and pretty connected to nature. You feel quite awoken in a way. You're aware of your senses. I wouldn't say you feel scared. I mean, you can feel scared if you're pushing the boundaries too much, but try and avoid that, obviously. But it's more of just a seriously impressive moment. So number three, elephant. Let's hope my counting works this week. Number four is the rhino. Now, there's no particular, as far as I'm aware, difference in Africa as to whether it's the white or the black rhino. I think it's just lumped into one. I think traditionally it may have been the black rhino, again for a reason I'll get to in a moment. But rhino is number four, and yeah, rhinos, you see them a lot in southern Africa and parts of the Masai Mara, Serengeti and other areas as well within East Africa, but they are now sadly quite few and far between with all the poaching. Again, something I'll talk about in another video. But that is our fourth animal within the Big Five. And number five, it's one that people often forget about, miss. Sometimes we have the giraffe thrown in there, but not the giraffe. It's the buffalo. Buffaloes make up the fifth member of the Big Five, and they are probably, for me, what I would consider, given why it's called the Big Five, number one on the list. So where can you find these Big Five? If you're dead set on finding all Big Five in your safari in one go, then there are a couple of places which got a good chance. Kenya's Masai Mara or in Lewa in Kenya, you've got a strong chance of seeing all the Big Five whilst you're there. In the Serengeti, there's a chance as well, slightly smaller chance for things like rhino. That's going to become a theme. And South Africa, in the Sabi Sands and around the Kruger, you've got a really good chance of seeing all the Big Five, especially the Sabi Sands. It's pretty amazing. And then there are certain other private game reserves within South Africa where you've got a really good chance of finding the big five. And this brings me on to the main point of why we need to forget about the big five, is because if you focus entirely on planning your safari around the big five, you've got a really narrow window of where you can go, and you'd actually miss out on some of the most spectacular places to go, including the Okavango Delta of Botswana, which is considered by many one of the prime places to go. Now, you can see rhino in the Okavango Delta. There is an amazing project where they're reintroducing rhino to the Delta, but it's very few and far between that you'd have the chance of seeing them there. But if you went to the South Luangwa in Zambia, absolutely amazing place, you wouldn't see the big five. And so many other amazing places you'd miss out on. So for one reason, you're going to restrict yourself on the best places for safari by focusing on the big five. But the second reason, and maybe the most important, is the origins of where the term big five comes from. So why is it called the big five? Well, the term comes from old hunting days, which is actually one of the reasons I think we need to forget about it. I don't enjoy hunting, and I've never hunted before. Something that I don't believe is necessary for the conservation model. Some people do argue that it is important for the conservation model, but that's a topic for a whole other video, which I'll get into another time. I've got a lot of great content coming out of this video alone. Future content. I'm not saying that this is great. Hopefully it's great. I don't know. Is it great? Like it if it is great, and subscribe, maybe. But where was I? Yeah, it's a hunting term. And the big five are the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt on foot. So I don't think we really want to be talking about hunting on foot that often, or hunting at all really. They certainly are the most dangerous animals if you are walking in the bush. But dangerous, take with a pinch of salt. Dangerous if you're pushing the boundaries and you're not aware of your senses, and you're taking risks yourself, putting yourself in their space, their safe space. Then it can turn ugly and they can become aggressive and potentially dangerous to you. But none of the big five, and I've walked, not with, but I've walked in the area of all of them. I've tracked a lot of them, or all of them on foot. Clear 3 lobes here, 2, 1, 2. And I've had pretty close encounters with all of them, whether it be in a vehicle or on foot itself. And I've never had a potentially dangerous moment. And I think that's just because, well, partly luck, but a lot of just respect and respecting their boundaries, as I said. And then you can just watch them doing their own thing. And there's nothing better than watching a wild animal behave in a completely natural, wild way without even realizing you are there. So there we have it. That's the big five. Did you get them right? I'd be really interested to know. Did you know why they were called the big five? And having heard what I've said, are the big five still the number one thing you want to see? Guys, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in next week's Safari Wednesdays. Bye. Sorry, my bad. I forgot to talk about why the giraffe and the cheetah aren't in the big five. I think I did explain it, but I didn't expressly say the reason that giraffe and cheetah aren't in the big five is because they're not that dangerous to hunt on foot, or even walk around with on foot. In fact, you can walk past giraffe pretty easily. Treat them like a horse. Try not to get behind their feet, because if they kick you, whoo, that's going to hurt. Cheetah, pretty docile around humans, so you don't need to worry about them either. So that is why the giraffe and the cheetah are not part of the big five. This time I'm done.